The carpet in Bryce Redmond's office cost more than my first car. I knew that because he told everyone at the Christmas party, drunk on scotch and superiority. Now I was standing on it, waiting for him to look up from his phone. 15 years. 15 years of 60-hour weeks, missed birthdays, sacrificed weekends. 15 years of building Redline Freight from a struggling regional carrier into a logistics powerhouse that dominated 3 states. I knew every route, every driver, every warehouse manager by name. I'd negotiated contracts that saved the company millions. I'd prevented strikes, smoothed vendor relationships, and personally trained half the operations staff. The VP of operations position was mine. Everyone knew it. Even Bryce's secretary Paula had congratulated me 2 weeks ago when the job posting went up. Just a formality, she'd whispered with a smile. Bryce finally looked up. His face was blank, corporate smooth. That should have been my first warning. "Daniel, thanks for coming in." "Of course." I sat down, keeping my expression neutral, professional, ready. He leaned back in his leather chair, the one that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. "I wanted to talk to you about the VP position." My heart kicked up. This was it. 15 years of loyalty finally paying off. "The role is off the table." The words hung in the air like smoke. I blinked, certain I'd misheard. "I'm sorry?" "We've decided to go in a different direction. The position is no longer available." He said it casually, like he was commenting on the weather. "But we really appreciate everything you do here, Daniel. Just keep doing what you're doing." Keep doing what you're doing. Translation: keep working 60-hour weeks without the title or the salary or the respect you've earned. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger yet, just a crystalline clarity, sharp and precise. "Can I ask why?" Bryce waved a hand dismissively. "Business priorities shifted. You understand? Nothing personal. Everything is personal when it's your life they're rearranging." "I see." I stood up slowly. "Thank you for letting me know." His eyebrows rose slightly, surprised by my calm. He'd probably expected me to argue, to plead. That's what he wanted. That's what would confirm his decision was right. I walked out of his office with my spine straight and my face empty. Paula gave me a sympathetic look that I pretended not to see. The elevator ride down to the 3rd floor felt endless. My office, when I reached it, looked exactly the same. Same desk cluttered with shipping manifests, same coffee mug with the faded Redline logo, same view of the warehouse through the window, forklifts moving like yellow ants. I sat down and stared at my computer screen without seeing it. 15 years. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Summit Flow approved your VP contract. Ready to sign? Kara Quinn." I read it 3 times before the words sank in. 3 weeks ago, I'd gotten a LinkedIn message from a recruiter at Summit Flow, one of Redline's emerging competitors. Young company, aggressive growth, excellent reputation. The message had been professional but direct. They were building a new operations division and wanted someone with deep logistics experience. Would I be interested in talking? I'd almost deleted it. Loyalty mattered to me. I'd built Redline's operations from the ground up. I'd hired people, trained them, created systems that actually worked. You don't just walk away from that. But something made me respond. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the part of me that was tired of being overlooked while Bryce promoted his golf buddies to executive positions they couldn't handle. I'd had 3 interviews, all virtual, all discreet. They'd been impressed. Very impressed. By the 2nd interview, they'd mentioned a title, Vice President of Operations. By the 3rd, they'd mentioned a salary 40% higher than what I made at Redline. I'd told them I needed time to think. Now I stared at Kara's text, and something shifted inside me. Something fundamental and irreversible. I typed back, "When can we meet?" The response came 30 seconds later. "Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., bring ID. We'll have the contracts ready, And Daniel, don't tell anyone yet. Wait until after you sign. I deleted the message thread and set my phone face down on the desk. Outside my window, the warehouse floor bustled with activity. My guys, loading trucks for the evening routes, working hard, trusting that the company would take care of them like I'd always tried to take care of them. Bryce's office was on the 5th floor, far above the actual work. He probably hadn't been down to the warehouse in months. I opened my laptop and started making a list. Not of what I'd take with me. That was simple. Just my personal items and the knowledge in my head. No, this was a different kind of list. I was making a list of who I'd tell first when I left, and who I wouldn't tell at all. My office phone rang. I glanced at the caller ID, Evan, my son. I let it ring 4 times before picking up. Hey. Dad, did you hear? Did Bryce tell you? His voice was bright, excited. My stomach dropped. Tell me what? About the VP thing. I saw him at lunch today. He said the position was getting restructured. That's good news, right? More money in the budget? I sat very still. You saw Bryce at lunch. Yeah, he invited me. Said he wanted to pick my brain about social media strategy for Redline. Pretty cool, right? He's thinking about doing this whole rebranding thing. My 28-year-old son, who'd never worked a real job for more than 6 months, who spent his days filming TikTok videos and calling himself an influencer, was having lunch with my boss. The same boss who'd just canceled my promotion. Yeah, I said slowly. Pretty cool. So did he tell you about the VP thing or not? He mentioned it. Listen, I've got to go. We'll talk later. Sure. Oh, hey, I meant to ask, can you spot me 1,500? I've got this opportunity to partner with a brand, but I need to front some money for samples. No. Silence. Dad, come on. It's an investment. I'll pay you back next month. I said no, Evan. I have to go. I hung up before he could argue. My phone buzzed again immediately. This time it was Lara, my daughter. 25, real estate agent, or at least that's what her Instagram bio said. Most of her posts were filtered photos of expensive houses she'd never sold, luxury cars she'd never owned, and inspirational quotes about hustle and success. I didn't answer. I knew what she wanted. She'd been pressuring me for weeks to co-sign on an apartment investment, some scheme where she'd flip units and make a fortune. Never mind that she had no capital, no experience, and no actual sales under her belt. She left a voicemail. I didn't listen to it. Instead, I opened my email and found the last message from Kara Quinn. I read through the Summit Flow offer again, carefully this time. The salary, the benefits, the equity package, the actual respect. Then I opened a new tab and started researching something I'd never bothered to look up before. How much notice I was legally required to give when quitting. Turns out, in my state, for at-will employment, none. 0 days. I could walk out tomorrow if I wanted to. The thought made me smile, not a nice smile. The kind of smile that meant something had broken loose inside me, something I'd kept carefully locked away for 15 years. My phone buzzed again. Another text, different number. Your kids met with Bryce Redmond yesterday, without you. I stared at the message. Unknown sender. Could be spam. Could be someone playing games. But something about it felt true. I thought about Evan's call, his excitement, his casual mention of lunch with Bryce. He wanted to pick my brain. I thought about Lara's increasing desperation for money, for connections, for a way into the business world that didn't require actual work. My ex-wife Mira would tell me I was being paranoid. She always defended the kids, even when they were clearly in the wrong. That's why we weren't married anymore. That, and about 50 other reasons that all boiled down to one thing. She chose them over us. Every time. I texted back, "Who is this?" No response. I sat there for another 20 minutes, staring at nothing, thinking about everything. Finally, I stood up and grabbed my jacket. It was only 4:30, early for me to leave, but I didn't care anymore. Let Bryce notice. Let him wonder. I took the stairs instead of the elevator. 5 floors down, each step feeling like progress towards something I couldn't quite name yet. The parking lot was mostly full. My truck, a 7-year-old Ford F-150, sat in the same spot I'd parked in for the last decade. Reliable, unremarkable, exactly like me, according to Bryce's unspoken assessment. I sat in the driver's seat and pulled out my phone, found Kara Quinn's number and called her directly. She answered on the second ring. "Daniel, I was hoping you'd call." "Tomorrow at 9, I said. "I'll sign." "Excellent. The offer is exactly as discussed. 40% salary increase, full benefits starting day 1, equity package vesting over 4 years, and the title is official, Vice President of Operations. One condition. Name it. I start Monday, and I bring 3 people with me." There was a pause. I could hear her smile through the phone. "Which 3?" I told her. "Operations manager, senior logistics coordinator, and our best route optimizer. The people who actually made Redline run. The ones who knew the systems because they'd helped me build them." "I'll have their contracts ready tomorrow," Kara said. "This is going to be interesting, Daniel." That's one word for it. I hung up and sat there, engine off, watching the sun sink behind the warehouse. My phone rang. Evan again. I declined the call. Then Lara. Declined. Then a text from Mira. "The kids are worried about you. Call them back." I turned my phone face down and started the truck. 15 years of loyalty, and Bryce had dismissed me with 7 words. "Just keep doing what you're doing." Fine. I'd do exactly what I was doing. I'd just do it somewhere else. And when Redline collapsed because the people who actually ran the operations were gone, Bryce could sit in his expensive office and wonder what happened. I pulled out of the parking lot and headed home, already planning Monday morning in my mind. This was going to hurt them. All of them. And I was going to enjoy every second of it. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. The Summit Flow offices were in a newer building downtown, all glass and steel and open floor plans. Nothing like Redline's aging warehouse complex with its flickering fluorescent lights and coffee-stained carpets. Kara Quinn met me in the lobby. Mid-30s, sharp suit, confident handshake. She'd been in logistics recruiting for 8 years and had a reputation for identifying talent before anyone else noticed. That's what she'd told me in our first interview, and I'd believed her because she'd somehow found me before I even knew I wanted to be found. "Daniel, good to see you." She handed me a visitor badge. "Ready?" "Ready." She led me to a conference room on the 3rd floor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a long table with actual ergonomic chairs, not the cheap ones that destroyed your back. And spread across the table, contracts, 3 sets. "Yours, plus your 3 recruits," Kara said, gesturing to the paperwork. "Everything's as discussed. Take your time reading through. I'll grab coffee." She left me alone with the most important decision of my professional life. I read every page, every clause, every detail about salary, benefits, stock options, vacation time, performance bonuses. It was all there, exactly as promised. No hidden catches, no fine print that would screw me later. At the bottom of my contract, a start date, Monday, the day after tomorrow. My hand hesitated over the pen. 15 years at Redline. I'd built that operation from nothing. I'd hired good people, created efficient systems, negotiated deals that saved millions. I'd been loyal even when Bryce's decisions made my job harder. Even when he promoted incompetent executives over me. Even when he cut my budget and expected miracles. But loyalty was a 2-way street, and yesterday Bryce had made it clear I was useful, not valuable, a tool, not a leader. I signed my name. Then I pulled out my phone and sent 3 identical texts to my operations manager, senior logistics coordinator, and route optimizer. Call me. Now. Important. They all called within 5 minutes. I told them the same thing. I'd just signed with Summit Flow. There were positions waiting for them, better titles, better pay, better everything. But they had to decide immediately, and they couldn't tell anyone until Monday morning. All 3 said yes. By the time Kara returned with coffee, I'd signed all 4 contracts and stacked them neatly in the center of the table. She smiled. Welcome to Summit Flow, Daniel. Officially. Thanks. I sipped the coffee. It was good. Expensive. Not the burnt sludge from Redline's break room. Now for the hard part, Kara said, sitting across from me. Monday morning you need to resign from Redline, so do your 3 people. We'll have workstations ready for all of you by 10 a.m. No 2 weeks' notice? Not unless you want to give Redline time to counteroffer or make your life miserable for 14 days. We need you here, operational, immediately. Summit Flow is launching a new service route next week and you're going to lead it. I thought about Bryce's face when I walked into his office Monday morning. The shock, the anger, the realization that he'd just lost the person who ran his entire operation. No notice, I agreed. We'll resign Monday at 8 a.m. and be here by 10. Kara nodded approvingly. Smart. Also, Daniel, one more thing. Don't tell anyone about this until after you resign. Not family, not friends. People talk, and if word gets back to Redline before Monday, they might try to stop you. I won't tell anyone. Good, because I've seen this go wrong before. Someone tells their spouse, who tells a friend, who knows someone at the old company. Next thing you know, security is escorting you out and your reputation is trashed. I thought about my kids. Evan with his eager questions about Bryce, Lara with her constant schemes and desperate need for connections. I understand, I said. Complete silence until Monday. We shook hands again. Kara walked me out, past cubicles where young professionals worked on sleek computers, past a break room with an actual espresso machine, past motivational posters that didn't look 40 years old. This was where I belonged. A place that valued competence over tenure, results over politics. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in months. My house was quiet when I got there. Small 3-bedroom ranch in an older subdivision, the kind where everyone knew everyone's business. I'd bought it after the divorce, something affordable but comfortable. The kids never visited except when they needed money. I made lunch and sat at the kitchen table thinking about Monday. I'd need to pack up my office quickly, personal items only. Company files stayed behind, of course, but I had copies of my contacts list, vendor relationships, route data in my head. You don't build an operation for 15 years without memorizing the important stuff. My phone buzzed. Evan calling again. I answered this time. Hey. Dad, finally. I've been trying to reach you. Did you get my voicemail? I've been busy. What do you need? Okay, so I talked to Bryce again yesterday. My grip tightened on the phone. You talked to Bryce? Yeah. He's really interested in the social media stuff. He said Redline needs to modernize its image, and he asked if I could put together a proposal. Like an actual consulting contract. This could be huge for me, Dad. I set my fork down carefully. When did you talk to him? Thursday lunch, then Friday afternoon. He came by the cafe where I was filming content. Super casual, but he wanted to know more about your role at Redline, what you do day to day, how the operations are structured. And you told him. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not secret information or anything. He's your boss. He already knows all that stuff. He didn't sound malicious, just oblivious. My son, so desperate for attention and opportunity that he'd volunteer information about me to the man who'd just crushed my career prospects. What exactly did you tell him, Evan? Just, general stuff. Your schedule, who you work with, what projects you're focused on. He asked if you seemed stressed lately, if you'd mentioned any career frustrations. He paused. Wait, why? Is something wrong? Everything was wrong, but not in the way Evan thought. No, I said quietly. Nothing's wrong. Listen, I need to go. But Dad, about that $1,500. I hung up. Immediately, my phone rang again. Lara this time. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message. Dad, seriously, call me back. I know you're avoiding me, but this apartment deal is time sensitive. I just need you to co-sign. Your credit is good, and you'd be helping me get started in real estate. Mom said you should support my dreams. And honestly, after everything she did for you during the marriage, I think you owe... I deleted the message before it finished. My ex-wife turning our daughter against me. Classic Mira. During the marriage, she'd undermined every parenting decision I made, coddled the kids when they needed discipline, blamed me when they failed instead of holding them accountable. The divorce had been inevitable. The surprise was that we'd lasted 22 years. Another text from that unknown number. Check Redline's social media. Your son has been posting. I opened Instagram and found Evan's profile. His latest story, posted an hour ago. A photo of himself outside Redline's building, caption reading, "Big opportunities coming. Thanks to the best mentor in logistics. Blessed, ciao, career growth, family business." The best mentor in logistics. He meant Bryce, not me. The father who'd raised him. Bryce who'd met him twice. I felt something cold and sharp settle deeper in my chest. Not anger. Colder than that. Clearer. I opened my laptop and started searching. Evan's social media profiles, all of them. Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter. What I found made my jaw tight. Evan had been tagging Redline in posts for the last 3 weeks. Nothing official, just casual references. Learning the business from the inside. Excited about logistics innovation. Carefully staged photos that made it look like he was connected to the company. Then I checked Lara's Instagram. Similar pattern. Posts about commercial real estate opportunities, photos of herself outside office buildings, captions about leveraging family connections in business. She'd even tagged Redline's location in several posts. They were using my job to build their personal brands, without asking, without telling me. I thought about that anonymous text. Your kids met with Bryce Redmond yesterday. Without you. What if it wasn't just social media advice? What if Bryce had been pumping them for information about me, my schedule, my relationships, my plans? What if my own kids had been helping my boss evaluate whether to replace me? I closed my laptop and sat very still. Mira used to tell me I was paranoid, that I saw conspiracies where there was only incompetence, that not everyone was out to get me. But Bryce hadn't canceled my promotion because of incompetence. He'd done it strategically, after having multiple conversations with my son, after learning everything about my daily operations, my stress levels, my frustrations. My phone rang again. Mira, this time. I answered. What? Don't take that tone with me, Daniel. The kids are upset. They say you're ignoring them. I'm busy. Too busy for your own children? They're trying to build their careers, and you're supposed to support them. Support them how? By co-signing loans Lara can't afford? By funding Evan's fantasy influencer career? They're trying, her voice rose. Not everyone can be perfect like you, Daniel. Some of us need help. I gave them 18 years of help. They're adults now. You're unbelievable. You know what? Evan told me Bryce thinks very highly of him, said he has real potential. Maybe our son is finally getting the recognition he deserves. From my boss. From a successful businessman who sees talent when he meets it. She paused. Unlike you, apparently. I hung up. For a long moment, I just sat there, staring at nothing. Then I picked up my phone and texted Kara Quinn. Confirmed for Monday, 8 a.m. resignation. All 4 of us. Her response came immediately. Perfect. Welcome to the team, Daniel. You won't regret this. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet. Saturday afternoon, families doing yard work, kids riding bikes, someone washing a car in their driveway. Normal life. Normal people who probably didn't have their own children selling them out to their bosses. I thought about Monday morning, walking into Bryce's office, handing him my resignation, watching his face when he realized what was about to happen. Then I thought about the 3 operators who were coming with me, the best people at Redline, the ones who knew how everything worked. Without them, Bryce would be scrambling. Routes would get confused, schedules would slip, customers would complain, Redline would hurt. Badly. Good. I pulled out my phone and opened a notes app. Started making a list of every vendor relationship I had, every contact who might be interested in working with Summit Flow instead. Legal, ethical, just good business. If Bryce wanted to play games, I'd show him what games looked like. If my kids wanted to choose his side, they could live with those consequences. I'd spent 15 years being loyal, being the steady one, being the responsible parent and the dedicated employee. And where had it gotten me? A canceled promotion and children who'd volunteer information about me to my enemies. Fine. They wanted me to keep doing what I was doing? I'd do exactly that. Just somewhere else, for people who actually valued it. And when Redline crashed and burned, when Evan's big opportunity evaporated, and Laura's family connections disappeared, they'd understand what they'd thrown away. I'd make sure of it. Friday morning, exactly 1 week after I'd signed with Summit Flow, I walked into my office to find Kara waiting with a smile that promised trouble. "Good news," she said. 3 more vendors just called. They want to switch from Redline to us. 2 of them specifically asked for you by name." "Which ones?" She rattled off names I recognized immediately. Major accounts, the kind that represented 30% of Redline's quarterly revenue. The kind that took years to develop and could disappear in a single conversation if the service quality dropped. "Set up the meetings," I said. "This week if possible." "Already done. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Conference room A." She paused. "There's something else. Bryce called me." I looked up sharply. "What did he want?" "To offer you money. He said name your price. He'll match it. Just come back and bring your team." He sounded desperate. "What did you tell him?" "That I'd pass along the message and you'd respond if interested." She grinned. "You're not interested, right?" "Not remotely." "Good, because watching Redline collapse in real time is the most entertaining thing I've seen in years." She headed for the door, then stopped. "Oh, and Daniel? Your kids have been calling our main line. 3 times yesterday, 4 times this morning, asking to be transferred to you." "Don't transfer them." "Already told reception. Just wanted you to know." After she left, I checked my email. 43 messages since yesterday, most of them routine. But buried in there was one from an address I didn't recognize. The Truth Matters 2024@protonmail.com. Subject line: "You asked who I am. Here's your answer." I opened it. The email contained a single attachment, a photo taken in what looked like Redline's executive parking lot, dated 3 weeks ago. In the photo, Bryce stood next to a car, talking to Evan and Laura. And standing slightly behind them, visible through the car window, was Mira. All 4 of them. Meeting together. 3 weeks before Bryce canceled my promotion. Below the photo, a message. "Your ex-wife set up the meetings. She told Bryce your kids had inside information about your schedule and vulnerabilities. She told them you were getting recruitment offers. She wanted you to stay at Redline because if you changed jobs, you'd be harder to manipulate for money. The kids went along because Bryce promised them opportunities. They didn't betray you for business. They betrayed you to keep their access to your wallet." I stared at the photo for a long time. Mira, the woman I'd spent 22 years married to, actively working to sabotage my career so she could keep using me as a financial resource. The email continued. "I'm sending this because I used to be Paula, Bryce's secretary. I quit 2 days ago because I couldn't stomach what they did to you. You were always kind to me. You remembered my birthday. You asked about my kids. Most executives at Redline treated me like furniture. You treated me like a person. So I'm telling you the truth. Your family conspired with your boss to trap you in a job you'd outgrown, and they're still plotting. Evan and Lara have been telling people you're unstable, that you made an impulsive decision, that you'll be back at Redline within a month. They're spreading rumors to protect their reputations. Thought you should know. Good luck at Summit Flow. You deserve better than what Redline gave you. I saved the email and the photo to a secure folder. Then I leaned back in my chair and thought about what I'd just learned. My ex-wife had orchestrated the whole thing, not just enabled it, not just encouraged it, orchestrated it. Because she wanted access to my paycheck. Because I was more useful to her as a frustrated, underpaid logistics director than as a successful VP at a growing company. Something shifted inside me. Something that had been carefully controlled for years, held back by the belief that I should be the bigger person, the mature one, the father who rose above petty conflicts. That something snapped. I wasn't going to be the bigger person anymore. I opened a new document and started making a list. Not of what they'd done. I already knew that. A list of what I was going to do about it. The list had 3 names: Evan, Lara, Mira, and next to each name, a single word: consequences, not revenge. Revenge was emotional, messy, impulsive. Consequences were logical, calculated, inevitable. Consequences were what happened when people made bad choices and the universe finally caught up. I was going to be the universe. First target, Evan. I opened Instagram and found his profile again. Still posting daily, still pretending to be a successful influencer. His latest post, a photo of himself at a trendy restaurant, caption reading, "Business dinner with potential partners, big things coming. Entrepreneur, building empire." The comments were full of supportive messages. "Keep grinding. You're going to make it. Inspiration." None of them knew about the fake followers. None of them knew he'd never actually closed a business deal. None of them knew his consulting contract with Redline had evaporated because his father left. I pulled up the screenshots I'd taken of his follower analysis. 68% fake. I also had screenshots of his posts claiming credit for business insights he'd copied from other people's content. And I had screenshots of posts where he'd photoshopped himself into luxury scenarios, borrowed cars, rented apartments, other people's success. I opened a new anonymous email account and started drafting messages, not to Evan directly, to the brands he'd tagged in his posts, to the companies he claimed were potential partners, to his followers who seemed to genuinely believe in him. I kept the messages factual, just evidence, no emotion. Thought you should know that this influencer has purchased the majority of his followers. Here's proof from an analysis tool. He's been misrepresenting partnerships and fabricating endorsements. Just wanted you to be aware before doing business with him. I scheduled them to send Monday morning. Not today, not immediately. Let him have the weekend thinking everything was fine. Second target, Lara. Her Instagram was easier. She'd been even sloppier than Evan, posting about listings that clearly weren't hers, using photos from other agents' portfolios, claiming sales she'd never made. I pulled up her real estate agency's website and found their ethics complaint form. Then I compiled screenshots of her posts claiming credit for properties she hadn't sold, with timestamps and proof that other agents had actually closed those deals. I filled out the complaint form carefully, factual, professional, documented. This agent is misrepresenting her sales record on social media and using other agents' work to build her personal brand. Attached evidence. Please investigate. I scheduled it to submit Monday morning. Same timing as Evan's exposure. Let them both fall together. Third target, Mira. This one was trickier. She didn't have a public career to damage. She worked part-time as an administrative assistant at a dental office, nothing high-profile or vulnerable to reputation damage. But she had something else she valued, her image as a good mother, her reputation in the community as someone who'd sacrificed everything for her children, her story of being the victim of a difficult divorce from a cold, career-obsessed husband. That story depended on me staying silent. I opened a new document and started writing. Not for publication, not yet. Just organizing my thoughts. The truth about our marriage, how she'd undermined my parenting, coddled the kids when they needed discipline, used them as weapons during arguments, turned them against me whenever I tried to set boundaries. The truth about the divorce, how she'd cheated first, how she'd lied to the mediator, how she'd manipulated the settlement by threatening to turn the kids against me completely if I didn't give her more than she deserved. The truth about now, how she'd orchestrated the betrayal with Bryce, how she'd coached our children to volunteer information about me, how she'd done it all to maintain access to my income. I had proof of some of it. Paula's email, the photo, the documentation of the kids' meetings with Bryce. I could probably find more if I looked hard enough, but I didn't need to publish it. Not yet. I just needed her to know I had it. I drafted an email. Short, simple, devastating. Mira, I know about the meetings you set up with Bryce. I know you coached Evan and Lara to provide information about me. I know you did it to keep me trapped at Redline where you could maintain leverage over my income. I have proof, photos, emails, witness statements. I'm not going to publish them. Yet. But if you ever speak badly about me again, if you ever coach the kids to manipulate me again, if you ever interfere with my life in any way, I will make sure everyone in your life knows exactly what kind of person you really are. Your move. I scheduled it to send Monday morning, 8 a.m., same time as everything else. Monday would be interesting. I leaned back in my chair, feeling cold and clear and utterly certain. This wasn't anger. Anger was hot and impulsive. This was something else, something calculated and precise. This was me, finally, understanding what I should have known years ago. Being a good father didn't mean being a doormat. Being a good person didn't mean protecting people from the consequences of their choices. They'd made their choices. Now, they'd live with them. My office door opened. Rick stuck his head in. Hey, we're ordering lunch. You want anything? Yeah, actually. Whatever's good. You okay? You look intense. I smiled. It probably wasn't a nice smile. Just planning the week. Monday's going to be productive. He gave me a strange look, but didn't push. Okay. Lunch in 20. After he left, I reviewed everything I'd scheduled. Monday morning, 8 a.m., 3 different bombshells. Evan's fake influencer status exposed to brands and followers. Lara's fabricated sales record reported to her agency. Mira's orchestration of my betrayal laid out in unavoidable detail. All legal, all factual, all completely justified. I saved everything to an encrypted folder and closed my laptop. Then I called Kara's extension. Those vendor meetings next week. Can we add more? I want to reach out to every major Redline account and offer better terms. How aggressive are you thinking? Very. I want to cut Redline's revenue by 30% before end of month. She whistled. That's brutal. That's business. I love it. I'll start making calls. That afternoon I focused on actual work. Route optimization, vendor negotiations, team meetings. Summit flow was growing fast, and we had real responsibilities. But in the back of my mind, Monday kept circling. The day my family would learn what consequences felt like. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Whatever you're planning, be careful. They're planning something too. I texted back. What are they planning? Don't know yet. But Evan and Lara met with a lawyer yesterday, and your ex-wife has been calling around, talking to your old friends from Redline. She's building some kind of case that you're unstable. Thanks for the warning. Just remember, the best revenge is living well. But if you need information, I have access to things. Just ask. Paula, still helping me even after quitting Redline. I felt a flash of gratitude, then filed it away. I texted back, I need to know if they're planning legal action. I'll find out. The weekend passed slowly. I worked Saturday morning, getting ahead on Summit Flow projects. Saturday afternoon, I cleaned my house, did laundry, organized files. Normal life, except for the cold clarity in my chest that didn't go away. Sunday, I went to the gym, ran 5 miles, lifted weights, pushed myself harder than usual, burning off energy, preparing mentally for Monday. Sunday evening, I reviewed everything one more time. The scheduled emails, the documented evidence, the careful wording that kept everything factual and legal. Then I added one more item to Monday's schedule: a call to my lawyer. Just to review my position, make sure I was protected. Because if they were talking to lawyers, I needed to as well. I went to bed early Sunday night but didn't sleep much. Too much adrenaline. Too much anticipation. Monday morning, I woke up at 5 a.m., made coffee, watched the sunrise. At 7:55 a.m., I logged into my anonymous email account and hovered over the send button for Evan's exposure messages. At 7:58 a.m., I did the same for Lara's ethics complaint. At 7:59 a.m., I reviewed the email to Mira one last time. At 8 a.m., I sent everything. Then I drove to Summit Flow, grabbed coffee from the break room, and settled into my office to wait. The first response came at 8:47 a.m. My personal phone, blocked number calling. I didn't answer. Then a text from Mira's number. "What did you do?" I didn't respond. Another call, different blocked number. I declined. By 9:30 a.m., my phone had 15 missed calls and 23 texts from blocked numbers. I ignored all of them. At 10:15 a.m., Kara appeared in my doorway. "Your family is calling the main line again. They sound frantic. Do you want me to—" "No, block them at reception." She nodded and left. At 11:30 a.m., Paula texted me from her personal number. "Whatever you did, it worked. Evan is melting down on social media. Lara's agency called her in for a meeting, and your ex-wife is leaving you voicemails that would make a sailor blush. They're panicking." I smiled. Not a nice smile. The smile of someone who'd finally stopped being the bigger person. I texted back, "Good." Then I turned off my personal phone and got back to work. Because that's what villains do. They act, then they move forward. No guilt, no hesitation, no looking back. Just consequences delivered with cold precision. And Monday had only just begun. By Wednesday, the damage was spreading faster than I'd anticipated. Evan's Instagram followers dropped by 15,000 overnight. Brands that had been considering partnerships sent him cease and desist letters for using their logos without permission. His comment sections filled with accusations of fraud, fake influencing, purchased credibility. He deleted his account Tuesday evening. Lara's real estate agency launched a formal investigation. By Wednesday morning, they'd suspended her license pending review. Her Instagram went private. Her LinkedIn disappeared entirely. Mira's voicemails evolved from angry to desperate to threatening. I listened to exactly none of them. But Summit Flow's offensive was just beginning. The vendor meetings I'd scheduled started Tuesday. First up, Meridian Logistics, one of Redline's largest freight partners. 20-year relationship, millions in annual business. I walked into conference room A at 2 p.m. to find their CEO and operations director already waiting. I knew them both, had worked with them for over a decade. Daniel, Tom Westfield, the CEO, stood and shook my hand firmly. "Good to see you. Congratulations on the new position. Thanks for coming in on short notice. When you call, we listen. You've never steered us wrong." He sat back down, getting comfortable. "So, what's this about? Some kind of partnership opportunity?" I spent the next 45 minutes laying out Summit Flow's capabilities: better routing technology, lower overhead costs, faster response times. Then I showed them our pricing, 15% below what Redline charged for equivalent service. Tom's eyebrows rose. 15%? With the same reliability you got when I ran operations at Redline. Better, actually, because we've got newer equipment and smarter systems. His operations director, Lisa Chen, leaned forward. "Walk me through your quality control process." I did, in detail, because I'd built that process from the ground up, first at Redline and now here. She asked questions. I answered them. By the end of the hour, she was nodding. Tom looked at Lisa. She nodded. He turned back to me. When can you start handling our routes? Monday, if you want. Make it happen. We shook hands. They left. Kara, who'd been sitting quietly in the corner, let out a low whistle. That's $3 million in annual revenue, she said. From Redline to us, in one meeting. Just the beginning. Wednesday's meeting was with Cascade Distribution, another major Redline account. This one was trickier. They'd been with Redline since the company started. Loyalty ran deep. But their CEO, Frank Morrison, had also worked with me directly for 12 years. He knew what I could deliver. Daniel, I'll be honest, Frank said 20 minutes into our meeting. Redline's service has gone to hell in the last 2 weeks. Late pickups, confused scheduling, nobody seems to know what's happening. We've had 3 major incidents that cost us customer goodwill. I heard about the problems. Did you cause them? He asked it bluntly. No games. I left Redline because they didn't value me. I took my key people with me because they deserved better too. What happened after that is Bryce's problem, not mine. Frank studied me for a long moment. Fair enough. What can Summit Flow do for us? I showed him our pricing, our systems, our track record from the last 2 weeks. Then I made an offer I knew would seal the deal. First month is at cost, no profit margin for us, just to prove we can deliver what Redline can't anymore. His operations manager blinked. At cost? At cost. If we perform like I'm promising, you pay standard rates after that. If we don't, you can go back to Redline with no penalty. Frank laughed. Hell of an offer. You're that confident? I built the systems Redline is failing with right now. Here, we do it better. All right, you've got a deal. Another handshake. Another massive account shifted from Redline to Summit Flow. Kara walked me back to my office afterward. You just took $8 million in annual revenue from them in 2 meetings. There are 4 more meetings scheduled next week. That's the idea. Thursday morning, my personal phone rang from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Daniel Harrow? Male voice, professional, careful. Who's asking? My name is James Kellerman. I'm an attorney. Your ex-wife and children have retained me to discuss potential legal action regarding defamation and tortious interference with business relationships. I felt nothing, just cold clarity. I haven't defamed anyone, and I haven't interfered with any business relationships. I left a job, took my skills to a competitor, and brought clients who chose to follow me, all legal. The information you sent to various parties regarding your son's social media practices and your daughter's professional conduct could be considered defamatory. It was factual. I have documentation proving every claim. If you want to try a defamation case with provable truth as my defense, go ahead. You'll lose. Silence on the line. Then, my clients are very upset. Your clients betrayed me to my former employer, conspired to keep me trapped in an undervalued position, and are now facing consequences for their actions. Tell them to handle it like adults. I hung up. Then I called my own lawyer, David Preston, explained the situation briefly. Do you have documentation of everything you claimed? David asked. Yes, screenshots, analysis reports, witness statements, everything. And you didn't hack or illegally obtain any of it? No, all public information or provided by third parties voluntarily. Then you're fine. Truth is an absolute defense against defamation, and taking clients with you when you change jobs is completely legal as long as you're not violating non-compete clauses or stealing trade secrets. No non-compete, and I didn't steal anything, just brought relationships I'd built. Perfect. If they actually file anything, let me know. But my guess is their lawyer just told them the same thing I'm telling you. They don't have a case. I felt a flicker of satisfaction. Thanks, David. Anytime. And Daniel? From what you're describing, they had this coming. Friday afternoon, the fallout intensified. I got an email from Rick. You need to see this. He linked to a local business forum where someone had posted, "What's happening at Redline Freight? Service has completely collapsed. Multiple late deliveries, confused routing, nobody returning calls. Anyone else experiencing this?" The replies piled up. "We switched to Summit Flow. Much better service." "Same. Redline's operations fell apart overnight. Heard their entire senior ops team quit. Management has no idea how to run things." Good riddance. They were overpriced anyway. I scrolled through 50 comments, watching Redline's reputation disintegrate in real time. Then Kara forwarded me an industry newsletter. The headline, "Redline Freight loses major accounts following operations leadership exodus." The article detailed exactly what had happened. My departure, the team following me, the vendor defections, the service failures. It was all there, public and permanent. I forwarded it to my private folder, documentation for future reference. That evening, I got another text from Paula. "Bryce fired 3 managers today. Not because they did anything wrong, because he needed scapegoats. The whole building is panicking. People are updating their resumes. This is going to get worse." I texted back, "Thanks for the updates. You doing okay?" "New job starts Monday. Small logistics firm, friendly people, decent pay. I'm fine. Just wanted you to know what you're doing to them. They deserve it." Appreciate that. Saturday morning, I went into Summit Flow's office. Weekend work, but I wanted to review our operational metrics. The numbers were excellent. Route efficiency up 12% from last week. Customer satisfaction scores hitting 97%. Revenue projections climbing steadily. We were winning. Not just surviving, winning. My office phone rang. Internal line. I picked up, expecting Kara or maybe one of the weekend security team. Instead, "Daniel, it's Bryce." I froze. "How did you get this number?" Called the main line, told them it was urgent business. They transferred me. He sounded exhausted. "We need to talk." "No, we don't. Please, just 5 minutes." Something in his voice made me pause. Not sympathy, just curiosity. "You have 3 minutes." "I made a mistake." He said it quickly, like the words hurt coming out. "The VP position, canceling your promotion. It was a mistake. I should have valued you properly. Should have listened to you instead of..." He stopped. "Instead of listening to my children?" I finished coldly. "Instead of using them as informants?" Silence. Then, "That was business intelligence, not personal." "It was my family. That makes it personal." "Daniel, please, come back. Bring your team. I'll give you the VP title, 40% raise, full control of operations. Whatever you want. Just stop." His voice cracked slightly. "Stop destroying us." I leaned back in my chair. "You don't get it, do you?" "Get what?" "You didn't just cancel a promotion. You told me to keep doing what I was doing. You made it clear I was useful but not valuable. You treated 15 years of loyalty like it was nothing." I paused. "So I did exactly what you told me. I kept doing what I was doing, just somewhere else. I didn't mean..." "You meant exactly what you said, and now you're facing the consequences. Those vendors who left? They didn't leave because I stole them. They left because without me, you can't deliver the service you promised. Those operational failures? They're happening because the people who knew how to run things are gone. This isn't revenge, Bryce. This is cause and effect. If you come back..." "I'm not coming back. Not for VP. Not for any title. Because you showed me who you really are. And I finally stopped pretending loyalty mattered to you." I hung up. Then I sat there for a moment, feeling that cold clarity settle even deeper. Bryce had called me personally, begged me to return, offered me everything I'd wanted 2 weeks ago, and I'd said no without hesitation. That should have felt triumphant. Instead, it just felt final, like a door closing on a life I'd outgrown years ago, but only now had the courage to walk away from. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. "Your kids are planning something. Don't know what yet, but they met with someone yesterday. Private meeting, wouldn't let me see who. Be careful. I texted back. Any idea what kind of meeting? No, but they looked determined, angry. Your daughter was crying. Your son looked ready to fight. Thanks for the warning. I spent the rest of Saturday afternoon thinking about what my kids might be planning. Legal action seemed unlikely now. Their lawyer probably told them they had no case. Public exposure? Maybe, but I had more ammunition than they did. Then it hit me. They weren't planning legal or public attacks. They were planning something personal, something designed to hurt me the way I'd hurt them. The question was, what? I called David Preston again. Hypothetically, if someone wanted to damage my reputation or career, what would be the most effective legal method? Depends. Professional complaints to industry associations, maybe. Or allegations of unethical conduct to your current employer. Nothing they could prove, but enough to force investigations that waste your time and damage your credibility. How do I protect against that? Document everything. Keep records of all your communications, work product, vendor relationships. Make sure your current employer knows you're operating ethically. Then if false allegations come, you have immediate proof to refute them. Got it. Thanks. I spent Sunday creating documentation, emails with vendors showing the legitimate business discussions that led to their switches, contracts with Summit Flow proving I wasn't violating any non-competes, records of my work product showing I hadn't stolen any trade secrets or proprietary information, everything legal, everything ethical, everything documented. Monday morning, I walked into Summit Flow ready for whatever came next. Kara met me at my office door. We have a problem. My stomach tightened. What kind? Someone filed a complaint with the State Logistics Board, alleging you're engaging in unfair business practices, stealing clients through improper means, violating industry ethics standards. There it was. My kid's next move. Let me guess, I said calmly. Filed by someone named Evan or Lara Harrow? No, filed anonymously, but the allegations are detailed. Someone knows your work history. I have documentation proving everything I've done is legal and ethical. Good, because the board is requesting a meeting next week. They want to interview you and review your business practices. I smiled. Not a nice smile. The smile of someone who'd seen this coming and was fully prepared. Schedule it. I'll bring my lawyer and every piece of documentation I have. This is going to backfire on them spectacularly. Kara looked relieved. You're not worried? Not even slightly. Because they'd just made a critical mistake. They'd tried to use official channels to damage me, which meant I could use those same channels to expose what they'd done. And I had evidence. Everything Paula had sent me. The photos of their meetings with Bryce, the documentation of their betrayal. When the state board asked why someone might file false allegations against me, I'd have an excellent answer, because I'm the father who finally stopped protecting them from consequences. The war was escalating, but I'd started it from a position of strength, and they were reacting from desperation. That meant I was winning. And I planned to keep winning until they had nothing left but the truth they'd been avoiding. Actions have consequences, even when your victim is your father, especially then. The logistics board meeting was scheduled for Thursday. I had 4 days to prepare, which meant 4 days of making sure my documentation was airtight and my story was consistent. But Tuesday afternoon, something happened that accelerated everything. Rick came into my office looking tense. We've got a situation at the distribution center. I looked up from my computer. What kind of situation? One of our trucks was sabotaged. Nothing dangerous, just enough to cause problems. Someone slashed 2 tires, poured something in the fuel tank. Driver found it during pre-route inspection. My jaw tightened. Which truck? The one handling the Meridian route, the account we just won from Redline. Of course. The timing was too convenient to be coincidence. Security footage? Already pulled it. Come see. I followed him down to the security office. Our head of security, Marcus Wright, had the footage queued up on 3 monitors. This is from last night, 2:47 a.m. The video showed a figure in dark clothes and a baseball cap approaching our truck yard, moving quickly, purposefully. They knew exactly where the cameras were and stayed just outside clear view. But when they reached the truck, they got careless for exactly 4 seconds. Marcus froze the frame. There, that's our guy. The image wasn't perfect, but it showed enough. Male, medium build, wearing a Redline Freight jacket. Can you identify him? I asked. Not from this angle, but I can tell you he knew the layout. Went straight for the truck without hesitation. This wasn't random vandalism. I stared at the screen, thinking. Someone from Redline had deliberately sabotaged our vehicle, which meant this wasn't just business competition anymore. This was personal retaliation. We filing a police report? Rick asked. Yes, but I want to handle something first. I turned to Marcus. Can you get me the full video? Everything from midnight to 4 a.m.? Sure. What are you looking for? How he got in and how he left. I want to know if he drove here or if someone dropped him off. Marcus pulled up the extended footage. We watched in fast forward until the figure appeared at 2:43 a.m., entering through a gap in the fence line. We kept watching after the sabotage. The figure left the same way, walking quickly toward the street. Then, at 3:02 a.m., a car pulled up. Dark sedan, no front license plate visible. The figure got in the passenger seat. The car drove away. Can you get a plate from any angle? I asked. Marcus worked the footage, pulling different camera views. Finally, he found one, a partial rear plate, as the car turned the corner. He enhanced it as much as possible. That's Montana registration, he said. I can't read the full number, but I can make out the first 3 characters. He wrote them down. I took the paper and headed back to my office. Then I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I called an old contact from my Redline days, someone who worked in DMV records. Hey, it's Daniel. I need a favor, unofficial favor. There was a pause. Depends what you need. Partial plate lookup, Montana registration, first 3 characters are 4K7. Dark sedan, probably 2018 or newer. Can you narrow down the possibilities? This for something legal? Security investigation. Someone vandalized our property. I'm trying to identify them before we file an official police report. Another pause. Give me an hour. She called back in 45 minutes. Got 3 possibilities with that prefix in this county. 2 are registered to women over 70. The 3rd is registered to someone named Tyler Brennan. 29 years old, current address in the city, and he works for... She stopped. Works for who? Redline Freight, operations assistant. I felt that cold clarity sharpen. Thanks. I owe you. Just don't tell anyone where you got this. I hung up and looked at the name I'd written down. Tyler Brennan. I remembered him vaguely. Young guy, hired about 3 years ago, worked under Rick before I left. Decent worker, but easily influenced. Exactly the kind of person Bryce could manipulate into doing something stupid. I called Rick. You know Tyler Brennan? Yeah, used to work with him. Why? He's the one who sabotaged our truck. What? Tyler? He's not that kind of... Rick stopped. Actually, he always was eager to please management. If Bryce asked him to do something, he'd probably do it. That's what I figured. Where would he be right now? If he's still on the same shift schedule, probably at the Redline warehouse until 6 p.m. I checked the time. 4:15 p.m. I'm going to have a conversation with him. Daniel, maybe let the police handle this. I will, after I understand what Bryce ordered him to do. I grabbed my jacket and headed for the parking lot. This was stupid. I knew it was stupid. But I also knew that if I went through official channels, Tyler would lawyer up, Bryce would deny everything, and we'd get nowhere. I needed him to admit what happened. On record, if possible. The drive to Redline's warehouse took 20 minutes. I parked across the street, watching the building I'd worked in for 15 years. It looked the same, but knowing I'd never work there again made it feel foreign. I texted Paula, "Is Tyler Brennan at Redline right now?" Her response came immediately. "Yes, warehouse floor. Why?" "Need to talk to him, privately." "Be careful. Bryce has everyone paranoid. They're looking for reasons to cause you problems." I put my phone away and watched the warehouse entrance. At 5:47 p.m., workers started leaving. End of shift. I spotted Tyler almost immediately. Young guy, early 20s, wearing the same Redline jacket from the security footage. He walked to the employee parking lot. I waited until he reached his car, then approached quickly. "Tyler." He spun around, startled. "Daniel, what are you—" "We need to talk. About what you did to my truck last night." His face went pale. "I don't know what you're—" 2:47 a.m., our distribution center. You slashed tires and contaminated fuel. Security footage caught you. Your car is on camera. I have your plate number." I kept my voice level. "What I want to know is, did Bryce tell you to do it, or was it your idea?" Tyler looked around desperately, like he was hoping someone would rescue him. You can't prove—" "I can prove everything. But right now, I'm offering you a chance to tell the truth before police get involved. Because if Bryce ordered you to do this, you're not the one who should take the fall." He swallowed hard. "If I tell you, will you—" "I'll consider reducing my complaint to focus on whoever gave you orders. No promises, but I'll consider it." Tyler looked at his car, then back at me. His shoulders sagged. "Bryce told me Redline was suffering because you were stealing our clients. He said you were using unethical tactics. He said if I could disrupt your operations, just temporarily, it would help the company." "He specifically told you to sabotage my trucks?" "Not exactly. He said he needed someone to send you a message. Said it wouldn't be illegal, just a business tactic. I thought—" He stopped. "I didn't think it through. I just wanted to help." I pulled out my phone and opened the voice recorder. "Say that again, all of it, and be specific about when Bryce talked to you and exactly what he said." Tyler's eyes widened. "You're recording this?" "Yes. You can walk away right now and I'll give everything to police. Or you can tell me the truth and I'll make sure they know Bryce put you up to this." He looked miserable. But he talked, told me everything. The conversation with Bryce 2 days ago, the exact instructions, the promise that it was just business and wouldn't really hurt anyone. When he finished, I stopped the recording. "Thank you. Now here's what's going to happen. I'm filing a police report. You're going to get charged with vandalism at minimum. But if you testify that Bryce ordered this, I'll push for reduced charges. Deal?" "What if Bryce denies it?" "I have your recorded statement, and I'm going to find more evidence. He's done." Tyler nodded slowly. "Okay, yeah, I'll testify." I gave him my lawyer's contact information. "Call David Preston. Tell him everything you told me. He'll help you navigate this." I walked back to my truck, feeling the adrenaline finally catching up. I'd just confronted someone at my old workplace, recorded a confession, and essentially declared war on my former boss. Not smart, but necessary. I called David Preston from my truck. "I need you to hear something." I played him the recording. He listened silently. "Daniel, this is good, really good, but you need to file that police report immediately, and you need to prepare for Bryce to retaliate hard. I know. I'm serious. This recording proves criminal conspiracy. Bryce could face charges. He's going to come at you with everything he has. Let him try." I hung up and drove to the police station, filed the report, provided the security footage, gave them Tyler's information and the recording. The detective who took my statement looked impressed. "This is pretty clear-cut. We'll bring Brennan in for questioning tomorrow, and we'll be contacting Bryce Redmond." Good. I left the station feeling grimly satisfied. Bryce had escalated from business competition to actual crime. Now he'd face real consequences. My phone rang. "Paula." "Daniel, you need to be careful." Tyler just called Bryce, panicking. Bryce knows you talked to him. He's furious. Good. No, listen. He's talking about filing harassment charges against you. Says you confronted Tyler in a parking lot, intimidated him, coerced a statement. I recorded everything. Tyler spoke voluntarily. I know, but Bryce is desperate. He's going to twist this however he can. I thought about that. Let him try. I have security footage, a voluntary confession, and a police report. He's the one who ordered criminal activity. Just be careful. Desperate people do stupid things. She wasn't wrong, but I'd already committed to this path. I drove home thinking about how far things had escalated. 2 weeks ago, I'd just wanted a promotion. Now I was in an active war with my former employer, my own children, and my ex-wife. But I wasn't backing down. Not now. Because they'd started this. They'd betrayed me, manipulated me, tried to trap me. I was just finishing what they'd begun. When I pulled into my driveway, I noticed something wrong immediately. My front door was open, just slightly, maybe 2 inches. I know I'd locked it this morning. I sat in my truck, engine running, and called 911. Someone broke into my house. I'm outside, sending you my address. The operator kept me on the line until police arrived. 2 officers, careful and professional. They cleared the house while I waited outside. Finally, they came back out. No one inside, but someone was definitely here. Your office was searched, papers everywhere, filing cabinet opened, computer desk drawers dumped. I followed them inside. My home office looked like a tornado had hit it. Every drawer emptied, every file scattered, my laptop missing. They took your computer, one officer said. Anything else? I looked around carefully. My TV was still there. My wallet was on the kitchen counter where I'd left it. Nothing valuable except the laptop. Just the computer, and they were looking for something specific in my files. Any idea what? I thought about the documentation I'd compiled. Emails with vendors, contracts, evidence of my legitimate business practices, but all of that was backed up to cloud storage. The laptop itself was password protected and encrypted. Whoever had taken it wouldn't get anything useful. Nothing that would help them, I said. Everything important is backed up remotely. The officers took my statement, dusted for fingerprints, gave me a case number. After they left, I called David Preston again. Someone broke into my house and stole my work computer. Today? Right after you filed the police report against Bryce? Yes. That's not coincidence, Daniel. That's retaliation, and it's another crime. File a report, document everything, change all your passwords. Already filed the report, and my laptop is encrypted. They won't get anything. Good, but this is escalating fast. Be careful. After he hung up, I walked through my house, checking what else might be missing or damaged. Everything seemed normal except the office. On my kitchen counter, someone had left a note, handwritten on plain paper. Stop ruining our lives, Dad, or we'll ruin yours. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I took a photo of it, bagged it carefully, and called the police back. I need to amend my report. I found a threatening note. The officer who responded was the same one from earlier. He looked at the note and frowned. You recognize the handwriting? I did. It was Evan's. I'd seen his handwriting on enough birthday cards and school papers to recognize it instantly. Yes, I said. It's my son's. Your son broke into your house? Or had someone do it for him? I showed the officer my phone, the blocked calls, the threatening messages. We're in a dispute. He's been escalating. The officer took photos of everything. We'll add this to the report. You might want to consider a restraining order. I'm considering a lot of things. After he left, I sat in my living room and thought about what had just happened. My own son, or someone acting on his orders, had broken into my house, stolen my computer, left a threatening note. This wasn't business anymore. This was personal, and they'd just crossed a line I couldn't ignore. I pulled out my phone and opened the folder where I'd saved everything. Screenshots of Evan's fake followers, documentation of Laura's fabricated sales, photos of their meetings with Bryce, Paula's emails about the conspiracy. Then I added new files, photos of the threatening note, police report numbers from the vandalism and break-in, Tyler's recorded confession, everything documented, everything preserved, because this was war now, real war, and I was going to make sure that when it ended, everyone would know exactly who'd started it and why they'd lost. I called Kara. Tomorrow morning, can you arrange a meeting with our legal team? I need to discuss protection strategies. Protection from what? My family. There was a pause. Jesus, Daniel, are you okay? I'm fine, but they're not going to stop until I make them, so I need to be prepared. Okay, 9 a.m. tomorrow, conference room C. Thanks. I hung up and looked around my house. Someone had violated my space, stolen my property, left a threat, all because I'd finally stopped letting them use me. Fine. They wanted to escalate? I'd show them what escalation looked like, but not with break-ins or vandalism or threats, with lawyers, documentation, and the systematic destruction of every lie they'd built their lives on, because I'd spent weeks being patient. I was done with patience.